Hey guys, it's your boy Wolfie. Today we're going to be talking about how to start Conquest. Apparently there's still a lot of confusion around it. Some people don't know how to start, some people don't know why you do certain starts. So we're going to go over all the pros and cons and differences from this season to last season. Luckily I have a video that will show almost every single start, so be Gucci on that one. That one's great. And yeah. If you guys have been enjoying my content lately, please remember to subscribe, like, and hit the notification button. We're putting out as much YouTube content as we can, and leave a comment on any of these videos for your opinion or advice or feedback for another video. And if you don't want to drop in the comment, feel free to stop on my Twitch, which should be showing up real quick, and tell me there. With that, we're going to jump straight into the game. We're going to be going over starts for the jungle and solo first, and then move on slowly to the rest of the map. Here we go. So jungle starting pretty much standard. They saw that speed buff. Speed buff spawns before the rest of the buffs in the map besides purple. So they gave us a clear start. He's gonna go from speed and he's gonna go straight into blue. And after he kills blue, he's gonna run to back camps, hog it, clear it, and then get to middle. Right? Cool. That's the standard start. Right? Luckily this game, the middle was overextended. He was able to gank. Boom. We got first blood. And this opens up another option. If you don't get the first blood, this option gets eliminated. But we did. So now, after we kill the mid wave, we have the option to invade their red buff, which also leads to him ganking Duoling. That's a standard start. It's a little bit different if we don't get the kill, we do our buff instead, right? Cool. Now, the other side of the map had a completely different start. What happened is the Sun Wukong decided that he wanted to start in lane instead of starting at the blue buff. What this does is it allows him to get the whole minion wave instead of missing a few minions that would normally be killed. There's a whole complaint about this for solos and how it affects them, but basically King Arthur only gets 5 minions while he gets 6. If he's lucky, he could potentially lose 2 minions and only get 4. But the reason why solo holds the blue buff isn't for solo lane reasons, it's for the rest of the map, as you're about to see. Since the Sun Wukong didn't hold blue buff, the Raven has to solo back camps and then go to blue buff and basically almost kill it by himself. What that means is that it's taking time away from the Raven from controlling the map. So he's gonna get to middle later, a substantial amount later too. As you can see, they're both crossing. The Raven isn't even at the mid camps yet, while my jungle is putting pressure on their middle. Normally middle doesn't go all the way to the tower line to the point where they're risking death, but as you can see, my jungle is in lane, able to hit the enemy minions before the enemy jungle is, which opens up the next option, as we will talk about. We killed the middle lane, etc., right? So let's say we didn't kill the middle lane, right? Let's say we didn't kill him and the middle didn't push up to the tower and he went over here. What this does is it opens the option for me and the jungler to fight the middle over here and potentially kill him, because we know that the jungler isn't going to be in lane fast enough to help him out. As you saw, Tsukiyomi was in middle way before the Raven. Or we can just be patient and kill the wave faster than they can because we're there earlier, and go back to our red buff, which also allows, just on the opposite side, it means that our jungle can gank the duo lane before the enemy jungle can help, which can usually lead to a kill or pressure. So as you can see, just because the solo lane wanted to get those 1 or 2 extra creeps, it gives pressure to the other jungle to not only get to middle and put pressure in middle, it gives the option for the jungler to invade. It also gives the option for the jungler to gank the duo lane. So that one selfish decision literally hurts 4 other players on the map for 1 or 2 minions. This is why you see most professional players and SPL players always start at blue buff, even though it negatively affects them. That's why you see them do it. Now that we know that start, let's go over to middle. Middle doesn't have a lot of starts. They have mostly decisions to make after they start. But the one big change is now jungle camps have more survivability. They have more protections, more HP, whatever it may be. So you can no longer just hit once and use an ability and leave speed buff. You won't kill it fast enough. That being said, junglers have to only hit the big minion, so they're not wasting time killing the smaller minions and making your middle lose out on XP, which they won't hit level 2 in the first wave if they don't get the big minion XP. After you clear the first wave, which you will hit level 2 after all 3 melee minions die and you kill 1 back minion. So once you kill 4 minions, you will hit level 2, which allows you to fight or whatever, or get ready to do something. If you don't hit level 2, you're at a huge disadvantage. You keep clear slower, you got your 2v2 is weaker, etc. Right? After you clear that first wave, you have a few options. You can walk to the enemy tower line like this guy did and try to get some poke off or maybe get a first blood and potentially just die to the jungler. Or you can wait patiently to clear the next wave because you haven't cleared it fast enough. Or you can try to fight this minion right here solo and kill it while the jungler tries to get the XP for it. Don't really worry if they don't get the XP for it. It's not really the biggest deal. It doesn't really hurt the jungler. It doesn't make him hit level 3 faster. Don't worry about it. Or you can start fighting for these mid camps, especially in this scenario where you see the Sun Wukong started in lane. You guys can forcibly kill these before the enemy jungle gets to mid lane, which means you're going to have more XP, and it means you're probably stronger for the fight in middle, which is great. It also means that the jungler will be level 3 after you kill the red buff, so he can gank Duoling without having to go do his back camps. So those are basically your options. You don't want to go to red buff like we used to, because red buff now gets double its damage when it's at 50% HP, and it isn't really safe to solo unless you're a character like Ra. And if you do solo it, you screw over your jungler so bad that he won't hit level 3 fast enough, and he might even be a full level behind, which delays his level 5, and that just screws over your jungle presence. So don't solo the red buff before your team gets there. It's really bad. Yeah, that's pretty much it for middle starts. Just remember that the only time you go and invade the enemy red buff is if you get a kill. Do not rotate to the enemy red buff unless you have a kill. And even if you do have a kill, it's risky, because if the enemy dual lane is beating your dual lane, they can rotate over and still outnumber and kill you. So do not invade the red buff unless you have the pressure and a kill for it. Understand that when you invade the enemy red buff, you are getting 30% less XP and gold than you normally would as the nerfs to invades. So let's say you take the red buff and they just invade your buff, you are now just lower farm than normal. So it's going to be harder for you to put pressure on the characters like mid lane, dual lane, and solo lane, because they're just that much ahead of you. If you trade even, or if you out clear them in middle, you're still usually better off just going for your buff and then going to another lane and putting some pressure and ganking. That's usually the play. Sometimes you can play really aggressive, you just have really strong characters and they can't fight you early, it just is what it is. But in most cases, 90% of the time, you don't want to invade the first red buff. I say this because I get caught by it all the time, and I see people get caught by it all the time, and the game can literally be thrown in the first 2 minutes. Don't do this, please. Pretty please. Now that we got middle taken care of, we can go to dual lane. The beauty about this is we have the opposite spectrum on dual lane. Also, dual lane also both has its starts. If you saw my video at the earlier on in the season when I told you guys about support having a way to hit level 2 in the beginning of the game, well, the SPL players found a counter to this. So we're going to look at the regular start. Rama has way too much clear. Most of the time, you don't want to fight Rama for the first clear. So this Cerberus and Rama are doing the normal start. He's going to hog the back. He's going to hog the purple camp. They're going to go. He's going to be in front of the Rama. He's going to get the Phantom minion by himself so he can hit level 2, right? He honestly didn't get the Phantom minion by himself. But he could have. Now, the enemy's response to this, having obviously weaker clear, having a Shibalanke and a Fafnir, they're going to do something a little different. They're going to kill the purple buff, but the Fafnir isn't going to use his hog because this camp takes a long time to spawn, and he's going to save his hog to secure this right here, which means that they're both going to hit level 2 in the first wave and only miss out on 1 minion, but they're also taking away the option of them dying. They take away all risk for them having a weaker clear. So this is your basic response to the enemy having more clear than you and being scared of the level 2 response. Since you have hog, they can't really, whatchamacallit, take the harpy from you. So you should be safe. Just understand they got ganked, even though they're still alive, because they kind of played safer than they should have. Well, they played safer than most people. But yeah, that's basically it. That's how that works. You can safely clear and still hit level 2 and not die because the enemy team has a Rama and out clears you. One more thing to say about Duoling. I see this all the time. People, they get ganked and they yell enemy missing middle. Let me explain something to you real quick. Every game that you play, the enemy jungle and the middle will be clearing either theirs or your red buff by around the time of 1 minute 10 seconds. Between 1 minute and 10 seconds and 1 minute and 50 seconds, you are probably going to get ganked on Duoling. If you are overextended, if you are too low, if you don't see the people in middle, you are in danger of getting a gank every game. If you see your jungle going back to middle before 1:30, that means that you are at risk of getting a gank and not getting any help. Pay attention to your map. If you get ganked at 1 minute and 30 seconds and 1 minute and 20 seconds, it is no one's fault but your own. This happens every game. Just look at the timer and look at your map. It's very easy. It's very telegraphed. Stop dying to this easy gank. It will happen every game. Once you see them go back to their lane, you're good to go. That's it. That's all you really got to pay attention to. There's one more thing though that I gotta say. We're gonna go into a game for that real quick. And the last thing I need you guys to understand is that just because invades for speed buff got nerfed does not mean the invades for the purple buff got nerfed. This happens purely out of you being lazy. If you get invaded on dual lane, again, your fault. I'm going to explain something by just showing how these players messed up. So these guys are going to get invaded and lose. Spoilers. Because they're lazy. They have one ward. Shout outs to the support for warding. But he warded the wrong area. You want to ward either up here and right here. And that is because for this exact situation, you either ward right there or you ward somewhere in this vicinity right here. So you can see that and you can see that and you can see that they're trying to invade. Now, because they just didn't drop the free ward, this hunter has a free ward and didn't drop it, they basically lose the entire game because they used the beginning of the game to be AFK and probably tweet something out that didn't have to get tweeted. Stop using the beginning of the game as your AFK time and please play. The moment the game starts, that's when the game starts. If you lose an entire game for this, you're not only going to be annoyed yourself, but the entire team is going to be annoyed. And it's going to feel almost impossible to come back. Please don't use the beginning of the game to go AFK. If you lose because of that, it's literally your fault and no one else's. Just drop a ward. It's free. They don't even get gold for killing it. With that being said, I hope this video helped you. I hope you guys improve your game just because you know how the start works. I hope I explained this very well. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. If you have any feedback on how I could have done this better or what you would like to see in future videos, please drop it in the comments. Or come harass me on my stream and be like, hey, I enjoyed your video, but you can do this better. And tell me how. I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate it. You guys have a good one. Deuces!